Good evening, Love and the Scriptures audience. Welcome tonight to this installment of Love and the Scriptures. I'm in my classroom, haven't left the building yet. We've got parent teacher conference tomorrow. I'm updating my students' grades so I can be ready for that. The reason I'm telling you that is because outside of my window, the school band is practicing, and they've made their walk through this coming one way. They usually go back the other way. And in case you hear some distant drumming and playing, is because the band uh, is outside my window. Seems like they've actually passed now, so we should be good. It should be just me that we are able to hear at this point. Don't have my earbuds, and so had to make that disclaimer for us tonight. But let me invite you to be thought partners and conversation partners as we talk tonight, love in the scriptures. I put out before us last time the idea about why love hurts, and about the difficult questions about love. Want to kind of walk through some of that, and explore um, what those what those things are about, because we think, of course, that love, at least want it to always be what is very pleasant and very enjoyable, and what is very good to us. We want to feel good. We want love to feel good. We think that's just how it's supposed to be. And in a very, very, very large measure, I agree that that is 100% true. But what I think we don't realize is that love, number one, is broader than we generally understand and know it to be. And then number two, love includes more than what we understand and realize it's really, really about. We have Sister Vicki Johnson Williams has joined us. God bless you. Glad you're here tonight. Thank you for coming. And so we wanna look through and talk through some of that stuff, because to understand, I think the first night we started the show, we we used the talked about the song by Foreigner, "I Want to Know What Love Is," um, without realizing, I think, how important that line of thinking, that train of thought, to know what love is. Most of us aren't there. Most people's thing is just to be in love, to experience love, to feel love, to have love, but not the endeavoring to understand or to know what love is. Because it's always best, in my mind, whatever you experience is always heightened, is always fuller, is always best when you know what it is, when you understand what it is. My godmother is here. Hey, Ma, so good to see you tonight, Cora Parks. And so let me say to you all too, do like and share. Those of you who are watching on Facebook, like and share the show. Invite your friends and other ones to be with us on tonight. And so to fully experience and to have the best out of whatever experience we undertake in life, to understand it, to know about it, to know what it is, always guarantees us that there is a greater fulfillment that comes to us. Vanita Smith is here and with us. Thank you for joining us tonight. And I say that whatever it is that we are what we are involved in, it's best to know that is no different than about love. And I'll say this, and some of you probably will may not agree or may have a difficult time with what I'm going to say, but that's why falling in love, when you really consider it, is not such a great idea. because what you fall into, you don't understand fully. You're not thinking about fully. You're writing on or going with whatever the feeling is. And of course, for us here on Love in the Scriptures, we know that one of the pillars of love is that love is intelligent, so that we don't just or that we do realize that as we love, whatever arena, whatever kind of relationship, that intelligent love is a part of what love is about. And I mentioned those four pillars. Let me go ahead and say those because there may be some who are here with us tonight who have not known what the four pillars or tent poles that holds up this whole idea of love in the scriptures that we're talking about. First pillar of love in the scriptures is love is our ethic. Love is our ethic. Just in short, what that means is that what guides, what influences, what upholds and underpins everything that we do as people of God, love is our ethic. It is the reason for it. It is the driving force for it. And in the biblical worldview, which is what love in the scriptures comes out of, that's where we get the understanding. Number one, first pillar of love in the scriptures, that love is our ethic. The second pillar of love and the scriptures is that love is intelligent. That love is intelligent. And obviously that goes in the way of the mostly held idea about love as feeling and love being emotional. It is that. Yes, yes. And thank God for feeling and emotion as it relates to love. But love is intelligent. The Bible tells us that because God tells Moses to tell the people that when they love him, if they love him, and it's not a when and if, it's assumed that we are to love God. But God tells Moses to tell them that you have to love God with all of your heart, with all your soul, with all of your mind, and with all your strength. And so because the mind is included in that love that God tells Moses that people ought to have for him, we understand from that love is intelligent love. The third pillar of love in the scriptures is that love will reign. That means that when everything else has passed away, when everything else has faded, when the smoke clears, when the dust settles, it boils down to love. And I'm going to actually put another point with that as we move a little bit further into this. And then the fourth pillar of love in the scriptures is to think love first. Now, we are people as a whole are generally reactionary, and so that people are stimulated by what happens, and then from what happens, there comes either a reaction, which is how most people overwhelmingly are, or even there is a response to what happens. The stimuli, whatever happens, what people have done, what is going on, and then there is the reaction, there is the response to it. The pillar of love in the scriptures, the fourth one, is that our influence should not be the stimuli. It shouldn't be what others have done or what is happening around us. We should think love first. That before whatever, that we go into situations, that we go into the room, that we walk into whatever engagement it is that we are involved, for us, we think love first. And so whatever happens is responding or reacting to our attitude of love that has entered into the engagement. And so those four pillars then, love is our ethic, love is intelligent, love will reign, and think love first. Those are the ideas that hold up what is this broadcast of love in the scriptures. But to get to our questions that I ask us about, that I had us to think about over the past days, about why is love difficult and why does love hurt? Um, to take the last question first, and I'm probably going to go a different direction than you expect or you might want to, even that you might want to hear. But even when it comes to this, there are songs, and I'm a music guy. Now, don't misunderstand that I'm not a musician in any form or fashion, neither instrumental or vocal. Okay. However, I am gifted in music. I'm very gifted in music. And my gift in music is my great, overwhelming love for music. Okay. So I'm gifted there in the way that I love music, in its breadth, in its range, in its height, and all of that of what it is. I'm gifted in the way that I love music, but I'm not a musician anyway. I don't sing, I don't play anything, but because I love music so well, music either is in influences or is included in much of what else I do in my whole entire life. Interestingly, in the classroom, even I did something last year that uh, uh, Mr. AD, Brother Philip Johnson, who was with us a few weeks ago, he taught across the hall from me, retired last year, but he taught across the hall from me. But when he saw what I did in the classroom, really inspired him. I did this thing where, as we were moving a lesson plan along, different students had a difficulty with interacting with the material. And so the idea came to me because they love music. Obviously, the students love music. The idea came to me to connect them with the learning by a song. Take a song and connect it to them, and then build that bridge to the learning. And really perceptively and interestingly, and I'm claiming that it was the Holy Ghost because in my own mind I couldn't think of it. And so what I did was I actually, as whichever student it was, I have a song for you. And whatever the song was that I thought of, um, I played the song, and it was a song that had to do with them as a person, how they were as a person, and it was so interesting because they resonated immediately with the song, and it was a way again to inspire them, to connect them, to build a bridge from where they were to the learning that was going on, and it went so well. Fair Johnson is with us, has joined. So glad to see you, Fair. Thanks for being here. And Jennifer Jackson Horton has also come in. Hey, Jennifer Jackson Horton, good to have you on here. And so I use that example, Michael Thornton. Hey, brother Michael, good to see you tonight. Thanks for coming. I use that example about the classroom because of how much music influences the most of what I do in the rest of my life. Arthur Pryor Loving, good evening. Good to have you with us. Thanks for coming. And so, even when it comes to love in the scriptures, there are always so many songs that are involved in influencing and informing what I like to talk about. The big problem that comes is that on social media, when it comes to the rights to songs and lyrics and all of those things, we are so extremely limited with what can easily be played because it's easily accessed or accessible. But there's so many restrictions even on the lyrics. But I bring all that up to say again that when it came to um, designing and even for the movement of love in the scriptures, music is always a part of how that is happening. I said a moment ago that the first show that we did, the question from the song, well, not the question, but the idea of learning. I want to know what love is. And even this discussion tonight on but why does love hurt and why is love difficult? Songs influence those discussions too. Tina Turner's. Um, what's love got to do with it? Um, who is it? Whitney Houston from Exhale. Why does it hurt so bad? Now it doesn't mention love, but that's exactly what she's talking about. That's this experienced love. I thought I'd let you go. Um, Why does it hurt me so? We all know the song. But the titles of those songs play right into, just for the next few minutes, what I want for us to look at and examine. So why does love hurt, and why is love difficult? And again, I'm going a different direction that you'll probably expect. Um, and I'll respond the first question this way: why does love hurt? Love hurts because it is emotional. And that's not deep. That's not that's not a big wow or a big, anything that's really heavy or anything like that. Love hurts because it involves and it requires emotion. Just like it feels good to love, it feels bad when you're not loved and when love goes wrong. Not deep. Love feels good when things are right and well with it, and love hurts when things go wrong or when love is lost. Not deep at all. In terms of love being difficult, and that's not the bottom line. I'm building to this. In terms of love being difficult, I actually addressed this as we started. I think mostly because the Bible informs this, that our look of love does not encompass what love really is. And I hear, who was it, Arnold, on Different Strokes. What you talking about, Willis? Yeah. So let me tell you what I mean. Overwhelmingly for us, for people, love for us, or the experience of love, we make one dimensional. What that has to do with is we have the person that we are connected to in a love relationship. And that is the place where we see love occurring between them and me. That is one dimensional. And I want to say to us that love is not unidimensional. It is not one dimensional. Because love never involves just two people in relationship. What we've been talking about the last few weeks is self-love. How does that relate to a love relationship? How does that relate to love being difficult or hurting? Because the first love in any relationship ought to be the love that individuals have for themselves. Because the quality of love that I can have or give to somebody else is always foundational and based upon the kind of love that I have for myself. And so if self-love, if I as a person um, do not know and do not respect and do not care for and do not love myself, whatever love that is coming from me that is going to somebody else, whatever relationship that I'm having, that love that I'm giving is not a healthy love, because the kind of love I give and have for somebody else is always predicated first upon what kind of love I have for myself. So there are two kinds of love that we're seeing right there. Phyllis Lloyd, so good to have you with us. Thanks for coming in tonight. There is self-love in relationship, and then there is the love that I have with the person. Notice the preposition that I use, the love I have with the person. That's where our love relationship is occurring. That's two, self-love, and then the love with them. Well, watch this. There's another love that regards the other person that is involved in the relationship too. Watch the preposition. It is the love I have for them also. What does that mean? The love I have with them is about the relationship that we have, that what we're building, what we're doing together. Corey Mildred King has joined us. So good to have you. Thanks for joining us tonight. So I have love with them, but I, as a person of love, and I'm talking about biblical worldview again, I have to be a person that has love for them too, not because we're in relationship, but because they are another person that's created in the image of God, just like I am. And so I have to love myself, self-love. And then there is love that I have with them, but then there is love that I have for them. How many kinds of love is that right there? I told you love's not one-dimensional. I've got to love myself. And as I love them, there is a love I have for them too. But that's not even all. There is the love, of course, that has to do with the source of love. And the Bible says it this way: God is love. What does that have to do with anything? It actually has everything to do with everything. Because for love to be its fullest, for love to be its best, for love to be what it is intended to be, watch this, and even beyond that, love has to include who is the source of love, and that is God. And so in relationship, even if it's not a marriage relationship, because we are used to hearing the preacher say many times when he exchange the vows and doing the nuptials for couples, to remind the couple. They'll do it one of several different ways. They'll talk about how love is a three chord from the Ecclesiastes writing, say that love is a threefold chord, not easily broken. And those three chords, they'll say one is the husband in the relationship, one is the wife in the relationship, and the third chord is the Lord. And so with the Lord included in that fold chord, then it is not easily broken. And so in terms of understanding the marriage relationship, yes, God should be involved in that, but it's not exclusively to a marriage relationship where God should be involved, because anybody who is a child of God, and sisters and brothers, I run the risk of sounding like a broken record, and I understand that very clearly and fully, that from the biblical worldview, we have to understand that the beginning of what we do in love starts with God. The end of what we do in love starts with God. The middle of what we do in love is with God, because God is love. And so, relationship then, what is involved in love, what should be the kind of love that should be involved in relationship, is to love of self. That's primary, because whether you're in a relationship or not, that's got to be there for you to be all that God wants you to be as a person. Self-love. The thing that is next is the love that you have for another person. I'm sorry, the love that you have with another person. That love has to be intact, of course, too, because for the relationship to be a good one, I'm thinking about Anita Baker's song now, Good Love. That love has to be intact, but it's not just love with the person. The other preposition involved is that there is a love for the person, because that's another human being, because that's a person that's created in the image of God. Even if we don't have anything with each other, because that's God's child, I love them too. And then because God is over us all, how else does Paul say it? And in us all and through us all, then that love of God has to supersede. Does that mean that love won't ever be difficult again? Absolutely not, but it will be different in its difficulty. Does that mean love won't ever hurt again? Probably not that either, but it won't hurt the same way. Because to understand, how does Foreigner said, to know what love is, to know that love is not one dimensional, that there are four things that are going on regarding love when I'm in relationship with a person. That helps me that when there is difficulty in the love relationship, that when there is or are hurt feelings in the love relationship, that I don't have to disintegrate or destruct because it's not happening with love the way it's supposed to. But to understand these other dimensions of love helps me to diagnose what is going wrong. Too many times when it hurts or when it's difficult in love, there's a finger pointing of what they did or what they are not or what's wrong with them. But to realize in a love relationship that self-love is first key. Maybe I'll see this time that it wasn't them at all. It might have been me. And to understand then that my love for them has to transcend the fact that we are in a love relationship together and to care genuinely for them, to love them individually as a person, puts a whole different conscription on what our relationship is about. Good or bad, right or wrong, I still love them because that's another human being. Doesn't change the possibility of difficulty occurring. It doesn't change the possibility of hurt being experienced, but it changes the perspective of how I see what is going on because I may not be loving in all the ways that is necessary for healthy relationship. That's the goal, sisters and brothers. Health in the relationship is actually the goal. Love in the scriptures in part of its development and its design is about health in love relationships. And our success, as great as Hollywood is as writing love stories, as great as authors are with writing books about love, the health and success of relationship cannot come from any of those sources because that's fantasy, y'all. Even reality TV is fantasy TV because somebody writes it. The success and health of those relationships come in the understanding that God is love and that what supersedes what is over what we understand in terms of love relationships is that love that is God. And let me say this as I'm winding up to close this out. To understand that God is love, the proper understanding of that is not that God has love. It's not a possession of his. It's not that God gives love. That's not even a gift from him. The Bible says he is love. That means that whatever God is made up of, that whatever God's being is, that whatever elements constitute God, love is that stuff. And if we're going to experience healthy, true love relationship, it must include God. I want for us across the next couple of days, think about love in those ways. What is love for self? What is love with others? What is love for others? And including God in my love relationship? Is that how your relationship goes? That's your homework assignment. That's what I want to talk about next time. Thank you for coming tonight. We'll see you next Wednesday night, love and the scriptures. Blessings on you.